Welcome to How to Retire on Time, the show that answers your questions about all things retirement, including income, taxes, Social Security, healthcare, and more. This show is an extension of the book, How to Retire on Time, which you can grab today on Amazon or by going to www.howtoretireontime.com. My name is Mike Decker. I'm the author of the book, How to Retire on Time, but I'm also a licensed financial advisor, insurance agent, and tax professional, which means when it comes to finance, your money, all of the above, we can pretty much talk about it all. Now, that said, please remember this is just a show. Everything you hear should be considered informational, as in not financial advice. If you want financial advice, you can request your wealth analysis from my team by going to www.yourwealthanalysis.com. With me in the studio today is David Franson. David, thanks for being here.
Yep, glad to be here.
David's going to read your questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. You can text your questions in to 913-363-1234, or you can email us at heymike@howtoretireontime.com. Let's begin.
Hey, Mike, I'm about to sell some rental properties. I want to use it to buy other types of investment real estate, but I'm not sure I'll find the right replacement property in time to do the 1031 exchange. Any tips?
I wish I knew how old this person was.
That could make a difference?
Yeah. And the reason is you can take more risks if you're a little bit earlier, okay? If you're younger, there's a high chance that maybe you are selling properties and there's not much of a capital gain on the properties. You're just shifting things around.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've leveraged into the properties and then you're just snowballing up into like bigger properties or less payments. There's a lot of things that you're probably doing if you're a younger person than if you're an older person and moving things around. So let's assume that you're at the older category. Let's assume that your assets are fully depreciated. Let's assume that you're looking at maybe less landlord responsibilities. Okay?
Okay.
If that's you, here's what you need to understand. If you don't do this right, not only are you going to pay the capital gains tax on the growth of the asset, you've got the depreciation recapture tax, which is a beast as well. I mean, if you're selling $1 million house, you're probably going to pay $300,000 or so in taxes at least. That's a difficult thing to stomach. And if you get this wrong, that's an unfortunate bill. So 1031 exchanges are basically a way that you can sell a property, move assets into a qualified intermediary account. So you can't touch the proceeds.
All right.
But the $1 million would go into the QI, the qualified intermediary. And then from that point, you can then divide it up into other like-kind assets. Many people misunderstand the term like-kind. It doesn't mean a residential real estate property to a residential real estate property. It means within certain qualifications of real estate as a whole. So that could be commercial properties, it could be mineral rights, it could be the land rights like farmland, agricultural land. There's several different types of real estate that would qualify for this.
Okay.
REITs do not qualify, so real estate investment trusts, because you'd be buying shares of a company, not actual real estate property. Delaware statutory trusts qualify.
Okay.
And so the reason why I bring this up is when you put the funds into the QI, you have 45 days to identify the various different properties that you're considering moving the funds into.
Okay.
And then you have from, again, when you sell the property, 180 days. So the first 45 days, you have to identify a total time of 180 days to then move the assets into the property, or else it's taxed. And so if you want to move the assets into another real estate property, you want to maintain the landlord lifestyle, then great. When you're selling your property, just identify a bunch of properties. Hey, I'm willing to maybe buy this property, this property, this property. Maybe the negotiations haven't been figured out yet. Maybe you're open to cash offers, all these things, whatever it is. But have plan A, plan B, plan C, and then all the way down the list, if you're not looking to go into a Delaware statutory trust, that still might be a better situation than paying 30% in taxes because you couldn't find something, because deals fall through. Sellers change their mind. Maybe you don't come to the right price, whatever it is. Maybe someone comes in last minute and takes the deal that you're expecting. So you can't control all these things. And so you want to identify all those things, because if you don't identify it in those first 45 days, you can't go into that asset. And so what we'll typically do is we'll identify the properties you want. We work with several DST, Delaware statutory sponsors. We're, again, independent and unbiased, and we can't accept the back-end commission of it. So you're just paying us for our time, our consulting services, basically. And we'll identify several Delaware statutory trusts as a backup plan. So if things fall through the cracks, you can still move the assets in. It'll be in the DST for maybe 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's tax-free that you moved everything into it. You're going to take income out of it. Now, the income is taxable. The property should appreciate. Think of like an Amazon warehouse. Think of a self-storage unit. These are very boring properties.
Yeah.
Senior living, college housing, or student housing, things like that.
Okay.
And then when it comes due in 5, 7 years or so, they will most likely sell the property, and you'll need to then roll it over into another DST or another like-kind property. And maybe you go back into the landlord business. Maybe you found the apartment complex you want to buy into, or a couple of residential properties that you want to buy, whatever it is.
Okay.
But you've got to have multiple backup plans, especially for those that are selling apartment complexes or larger ticket items. It's hard to sell a $10, $20 million asset and then want to move it into a bunch of real estate properties. I mean, the real estate market can be difficult at times. So to find 10 properties, that's a tough situation.
Yeah.
So you've got to have these backup plans. You want to diversify all these different things. And so that's why it's very important to work with someone that has access to these different things. You can't get a Delaware statutory trust investment on your own. You have to go through a licensed person that has the ability to even talk about it, and then has the relationship with the sponsors, and then is able to vet those sponsors.
So not all sponsors are created equal, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not all sponsors are created equal. We work with the ones that survived 2008 without issue.
Okay.
A lot of sponsors after 2008 went bye-bye.
Oh, boy.
And it's because some sponsors will do stupid things like leverage the DST into variable rates. And so when the rates then change, things blow up.
Yeah.
You want a sponsor that's boring. You want a sponsor that's doing boring assets. You want a sponsor. Grocery stores are pretty boring. Self-storage is pretty boring. Student housing is pretty boring. Movie theaters, not so boring.
Yeah.
So entertainment places, not so boring. You don't want to take the risky investments. You want a DST that you're not losing sleep over, but you don't have to do the capital calls. You don't have to pay up money. You don't want to have those issues. And so these things matter. But again, maybe you want to move into a DST. Maybe you want to have it as a backup plan so you're not paying that large tax bill, knowing that you could roll funds out of the DST later when it matures and sells off, and then you put it back into the real estate game. It just depends. But having options, having an investment selection is a very important thing.
And so how does someone like get paid then? You mentioned that we don't have the right license to get paid on finding these DSTs.
Yeah, so it's around 5.6% that whatever you put in, so $1 million, 5.6%, that's a nice commission.
Yeah.
I don't have a Series 7 license. I can't accept it. And so the money's there. And the sponsor's going, well, where do you want to send it? We just send it back to the investor. So he just gets it rolled up into his bet.
Nice.
And I say that because I think it's very interesting how I can get in trouble for saying this.
Well, that hasn't stopped you before?
Yeah. You can't get access to a DST on your own.
Yeah.
And we're allowed to charge fees that are considered reasonable. If you're going to put money into a DST, and maybe it's appreciating in value and great, and the cash flows around 4% as well, why would I charge 1% when I'm not doing anything? But some advisors will say, yeah, we'll do the DST. You're going to get 4% cash flow, but we're going to charge you 1% fee because that's our asset under management fee. It's just how business is done, and tough.
Yeah.
That crap drives me crazy. So we charge, you're basically paying for our hours or consultative work to vet the products, to do the planning, to line things up, and then to make sure the transaction happens smoothly. It's a fixed cost.
Yeah.
And it depends on how many DSTs you want, the planning, the nuance of it all. But I mean, we're open on those conversations and what that looks like. But yeah, we can't accept the commission. You're just paying for our time. So that's why people, especially when they're selling large properties, I mean, my goodness, the amount of money people save, because we just have a simple, maybe we're dumb for this, but the simple thesis is, how much does it cost to do the job?
Yeah.
Great. I'll pay that.
Yeah.
To get a job done well, let's do that.
Right.
It's an ethical question. Just because I can charge 1% and rationalize things doesn't make it right. So I just have issues with that. That's why we structured things the way we did. That's why we help a lot of real estate people go from their properties, sell it off, be able to retire, have more passive investments like Delaware statutory trusts and then not charge them an ongoing percentage of their cash flow, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I digress.
Okay.
That's not to say what other people are doing wrong. I can't speak to them. I'm not disparaging people. Maybe there's a reason why they're paying that fee. That's up for them to explain, not me.
Yep.
I'm allowed and entitled to have an opinion.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we've got for the show today. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing to it wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for How to Retire on Time. Discover if your portfolio is built to weather flat market cycles or if you're missing tax minimization opportunities that you may not even know exist. Explore strategies that may be able to help you lower your overall risk while potentially increasing your overall growth and lifestyle flexibility. This is not your ordinary financial analysis. Learn more about Your Wealth Analysis and what it could do for you regardless of your age, asset, or target retirement date. Go to www.yourwealthanalysis.com today to learn more and get started.